Hey guys, today we're going to talk about linear functions and this is all review, so this should feel very uh, familiar for you. So let's go. Um, a linear function is a special type of function whose graph is a straight line. So let's go ahead and fill in the blanks with linear function. And I'm just going to snip. All right, this should be a lot of review for you. The slope of a non-vertical line through points x1 and y1 and y2, or x2 and y2, is the ratio of the vertical change to the corresponding horizontal change. Remember, slope back in the day is our vertical change or our rise over our horizontal change over our run. If we wanted to find the slope, we would take the difference of the two y's of 2 points over the difference of the two x's of 2 points, and that would give us the slope, okay? Where the x's do not equal 0, if we subtract the x's and it equals 0, of course, we'd have a 0 in the denominator, so that would be undefined. Let's go down to when that happens. If it was an undefined slope, let's look over here. That is when we're going to have a vertical line, okay? A slope of 0, or when the y subtracted equals 0, will give us a horizontal line. All right. And let's look up here at the positive and negative slope. Remember, if we subtract those values and we ended up with a positive value, the line would slant over towards the positive side of the x-axis. Okay, if it was a negative value, it would slant on the negative side of the x-axis. So let's fill in the blanks here. The slope is the ratio of the vertical change over the horizontal change. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, let's play our game. We're going to figure out which line slopes have these characteristics. So if I look at line A again is slanted towards the positive side of the x-axis. So I know for line A that line A has a positive slope. All right, if I look at line B is a horizontal line. Remember, if we go back, our horizontal lines are our lines that have no slope. Okay, so if it has no slope or a 0 slope, then that is going to be the horizontal line. So I know that's line B. All right, line C. Line C has a vertical line. And remember, we said the vertical line is when it has a undefined slope, or when my x's are 0, that is going to be a undefined slope. So line C is undefined. And let's look at line D. Again, it's slanted backwards. So that tells me that it's going back. The line is in the negative x-axis direction. So that tells me that it has a negative slope. All right, guys, let's move on. All right, let's just take a second and recall how to find the slope of a line between 2 points. Remember, it's going to be our vertical change over our horizontal change. So I'll say V change over H change. So that is y minus y over x minus x. So I am going to find the slope. And again, I'm going to get in the habit of just calling the slope M, because you're going to see that a lot. If I look and they tell me my 2 points are -3 and -3,7 and -2,4, I know here's my y1 and my y2. Okay, so in the numerator, I have a 7 minus 4, and then my x1 is going to be -3, and my x2 is going to be -2. So in the denominator, I have a -3 minus 2, and a minus a -2, so that's double. So what is that? That's just uh-oh, that is just a -7 minus 4 is going to be 3 over a -3 plus 2, right? Double negatives make it a plus. So that's going to be -1. So my slope is a -3, or m is -3. Let's look at the bottom. It says, you try. All right, I want you guys to take a second, pause the video, and you're going to try finding the slope between the 2 points. All right, did you get -3? If you did, go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself a pat. All right, let's move along. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is slope-intercept form, and this was our favorite form, right? So slope-intercept form of an equation of a line is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope of the line, and 0b is the y-intercept. We like slope-intercept form because it tells us the slope, and it tells us the y-intercept. Thus, it's called slope-intercept form. All right, so we're going to talk about how we graph when we have something in slope-intercept form. And how that goes is we're going to first plot the y-intercept. So step 1 is to look at our equation. Let's plot the y-intercept. Now, looking at this, my b value is going to be 1. So if I'm going to plot that y-intercept, I know that this line intercepts the y-axis at 0, 1. All right. And then I'm going to use the slope as rise over run from the y-intercept, and I'm going to be able to find another point on the line. All right. So if I think about it, the slope, or the m, is -2. And how I'm going to do this when it's just a integer, I want it as rise over run, right? So I want to say that this is -2 over 1. So I know that my rise, or in this case, because it's negative, it's going to be a fall, right? So it'll rise when it's positive, it'll fall when it's negative. This will be my fall over my run, okay? So with that being said, I know it's the rise is going to be up, or the fall is going to be down 2, and then I'll go over 1. All right, and then it'll help me find another point. In order to graph lines, you need to have exactly 2 points. Okay, so let's get this all a go. Here we go. I know my y-intercept is at 0, 1. So I'm going to plot my point there. I know my slope is -2, 1. That means that from my y-intercept, I go down 1, 2. I fall down 2, and then I go over 1. There's my second point. Now that I have 2 points, I can sketch a line. In order to sketch a line, you just need exactly 2 points. Bang. And it makes sense because the slope of this line is negative, that this line is falling over here in the direction of the negative x-axis. All right, it's your turn, guys. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to sketch the slope. All right, if you got a line like what I see, then give yourself a pat on the back. Hey, guys, this totally makes sense because we got a positive slope intercept through 0, -4. All right, let's keep moving along. Okay, the next thing we're going to refresh on is point slope form and standard form. Point slope form is exactly what it is. It is when it's going to show the equation of the line through 1 point and a slope. Okay, so for an example, a line, they give us the way to derive slope, which we remember how to do that. And then they give us an example. It says the line that passes through -5, 2 has a slope of 3 over 4. Write an equation for this line. I'm going to use this point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. When they give me the point, in this case they give me -5, 2, I got over here my, I have over here my y1 and my x1, okay? They also give me the slope m equals 3/4. So once I have this slope and I got a point, I can put this in point slope form. This is a very, very important formula. If you guys, when you get into college, you intend on taking calculus, you'll use this a lot. All right, so I just drop in my y1 into this formula. So this would be y minus 2 equals, and then my slope 3/4, and then I got my parentheses x. Now minus a -5 is going to turn it positive, so this would be x plus 5. All right, dropping in my x1 point. So that's it. That's point slope form. All right, so let's go to the next one. It says the equation of the line in standard form. So another way we can see how we can see lines written as a form called standard form. And this is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers, okay? A is not negative, okay? So your first coefficient with x is not going to be negative. It's always going to be a positive value, and a and b are both non-zero. Obviously, if a and b were zero numbers, we would not have the x and the y values, right? Because it would just zero them out. Write the equation of the line y equals 3/4x minus 5 in standard form. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and do that. Here we go. I am going to rewrite this equation, and what I really want to do is move this x value over, okay? So if I got to do that, that means I got to subtract this value. So I would have a negative 3/4x plus y equals -5. And all Miss Bennett did is she just canceled out the negative 3/4x from the right side, okay, so it could cancel, and she moved it to the left side of the equation. But if you notice, this is not standard form, one, because our x value is negative, and another thing that I want you to write up here that's missing in this is that we don't want fractions, okay? So A and B can only be divisible by 1, which means that there can't be any fractions. We want these to be whole numbers. So A and B divisible by 1. And I'm going to just put divisible by 1. All right. So with that being said, that means that I need to get rid of this 4 here in the denominator, and I need to get rid of the negative because we also need a to be positive, which means I'm going to multiply everything by a -4. All right. Once I do that, the 4's cancel out up here, and I end up with a positive 3x. Okay. And then I would have a minus 4y equals positive 20. And now if I look at this, this is in standard form, all right? I have real numbers, they're divisible by 1, so there are no fractions, and my a is positive. This is how we get standard form. All right, let's move on and let's go ahead and review all the different forms. So the first form is slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We're going to use this form when you know the slope and the y-intercept. right. The next one is our point slope form. Point slope form. Y minus y1 equals x times, or equals m times x minus x1. We're going to use this form when you know the slope and a point. Or another way that you would use this form is when you know 2 points. And we know it works when we know 2 points because we can just find the slope of the 2 points and we can drop it in our formula. All right. The last one is standard form. A, B, and C are real numbers. A is positive. A and B cannot both be 0. What's cool about this form is that we will use this form when we want to graph. Sometimes it's really nice using that form because it gives you your x and y intercepts pretty easily. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now let's move along. All right, guys, we are going to practice writing all 3 forms of a line. Here we go. It says a line goes through 3, 1 and 4, 2. Find the equation of the line in all 3 forms. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video. I want you guys to find the slope of this line and then I'm going to resume the video. So take a second, find the slope of this line. All right, so for this slope, I got 2 minus 1 over 4 minus 3, which gave me a 1 over 1. So I got the slope is equal to 1. Now, the easiest thing for me to do, because I only have the slope and I have 2 points, is to use the point slope form, having a slope and having a point. So I'm going to go ahead and choose one of the points. I'll choose 3, 1. Okay. And I'm going to write this in point slope form, which is my y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right. So I'm just plugging in for x1 my 3 and for 1 my y. So I would have y minus 1 equals m, my slope, which is just 1, times x minus 3. So I now have that in point slope form. All right. Now I'm going to move on to standard form. Standard form, I'm just going to simplify this and make sure I have an a and b value and make sure my a is not negative and I have no fractions. So if I distribute my 1, in this case, nothing would happen. I would just have a y minus 1 is equal to x minus 3. Okay. And then I am just going to get my x and move it to the other side and then move this negative 1 to the other side. So that means that I'm going to be subtracting x over. Okay, moving that to the other side. And then I'm going to add 1 to the other side. Okay, so I'm doing this in 2 steps. When I do that, what happens here? Well, we got these x's cancel over here. And the 1's cancel right here. So I'm left with a negative x plus y is equal to a negative 2. All right, now this is not standard form because I got that negative value. Remember, they have to be positive numbers. My x has to be positive. So I got to multiply this whole thing by negative 1 to get rid of the negative on my x. And when I do that, I'm left with a x minus y equals 2. All right. Okay, now we got to change this into slope-intercept form. I'm going to use my standard form equation and bring it down, and I'm going to use that to help me write this in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. All right, So all I have to do is isolate the y value by itself for it to be in slope-intercept form. Meaning I'm going to subtract my x over, okay, and get the y by itself. So I'm going to subtract x on both sides. All right. And what happens here is I end up with a negative y equals negative x plus 2. And then the y is negative, so I got to get rid of that by dividing by -1 on both sides. And then I'm left with a y equals x minus 2. Now this is in y equals mx plus b form. I can clearly see that the y-intercept is going to happen at 0, -2, right? And it matches, right? My slope is 1. All right, guys, you are done as promised. No longer than 23 minutes. So you are done. I want you to go ahead and move on to the Khan Academy practice.